Whenever someone mentions lobsters or shrimp, most of us cannot help but think of them as a meal. This is because together they are some of the most heavily harvested creatures in the sea and generate a multi-billion-dollar industry. However, these creatures are in fact very diverse, and only a few of the hundreds of types of lobsters and shrimp are caught commercially. The rest can be found in great abundance in the ocean and play a large role in marine and terrestrial food chains. Shrimp and lobsters belong to the phylum Arthropoda and to the subphylum Crustacea, a group that contains over 35,000 different animals. Crustaceans are equipped with joint appendages and hard exoskeletons, which we often call the shell. This hardened exoskeleton is impregnated with calcium carbonate, adding rigidity and strength. In addition, this protective shield greatly assists crustaceans' agility and locomotion. Most soft body parts of these animals are contained within the shell, and these parts are usually what we eat. The bodies of crustaceans display bilateral symmetry, meaning that their left and right side of their body can be divided into mirror images of each other along the midline. Typically, the body of crustaceans is divided into two sections, the head and the trunk. The head has 5 pairs of appendages, 2 pairs of antennae, and 3 feeding appendages. The trunk is usually divided into the thorax and the abdomen. Although a crustacean grows, its exoskeleton does not, so the animal must mold this old exoskeleton in order to accommodate its expanding body. The process of molding is hormonally controlled. In preparation for molding, the tissue layer under the exoskeleton detaches and secretes a new exoskeleton. When the new exoskeleton is completely formed, the old exoskeleton splits along a specific weak point and the animal pulls out, leaving its old exoskeleton intact except for the split. Lobsters and shrimp can be encountered along the seafloor. They are benthic or bottom-dwelling creatures that can be found in all of the world's oceans, as well as brackish environments and even fresh water. There are more than 2,000 different species of shrimp worldwide. Shrimps are generally tiny in size in comparison to lobsters, and some species of shrimp are so small that many animals cannot see them. Shrimp are known to stay in schools that contain numerous shrimp individuals and are able to adapt easily to changes in water condition. Unlike lobsters, shrimp have well-developed pleopods, which are forked swimming limbs. They also possess slender walking legs. Shrimp are more adapted for swimming than walking. Shrimp are also omnivorous animals and therefore ingest a variety of both plant and animal species. Shrimp mainly feed on algae and other plant particles along with tiny fish and plankton in the water. Due to their small size and abundance, shrimp are naturally preyed on by numerous predators around the world, both in the water and out. Shrimp are eaten by fish, crustaceans, whales, dolphins, sharks, humans, and many other species as well. Shrimp reproduce using sexual reproduction. Reproduction typically occurs during the summer months, though some species reproduce year-round. The female shrimp can lay up to 1 million eggs at once that only take a couple of weeks to hatch. Mating occurs when the male transfers a spermatophore to a specialized receptacle on the female's abdomen. 6 to 20 hours after mating, the female begins to produce a large quantity of eggs, which she carries under her abdomen until they are ready to be released. The quantity of eggs depends on the species and the individual. Once released, these eggs hatch into larvae, which are moved down the river towards estuaries and the sea. The larvae that cannot reach saline water within 4 to 5 days dies. The larvae go through a series of transformations in this saline environment for a period of 30 to 50 days. After this time, they become pus larvae and they live and forage near the bottom. Soon, they start an upstream migration in search of freshwater pools where they will spend the rest of their lives. Lobsters are heavy-bodied decapods closely related to shrimp. Generally, they are inhabitants of holes and crevices of rocky bottoms. They have poor eyesight but highly developed senses of taste and smell. Using their 4 sets of paired legs, lobsters walk along the bottom, feeding the path ahead by waving their antennae. Their 2 front legs are actually claws. The larger one is the crusher claw, while the smaller one is used to transfer food to the mouth. They feed primarily on fish and mollusks, but will consume algae and other plant life and even other lobsters. They can swim by flipping their fan-like tail forward, which propels them backward. Unlike shrimp, lobsters have robust legs and are highly adapted for walking on the seafloor. Some species have basic pleopods, which give them some ability to swim, but their primary mode of locomotion is walking, not swimming. Lobsters also reproduce sexually. A male can only impregnate a female after a female molts. If there are multiple males interested in the female, they will fight each other for her. The lobster that wins the fight will take the female into his cave and protect her from predators since she is vulnerable while molting. Once she has shed her hard exoskeleton, the male gently turns her over and pierces her abdomen. He then deposits sperm packets into her sperm receptacles, which she will store for up to 15 months before she releases eggs. Sperm is stored in the female's body until spawning. In spawning, eggs flow from an opening in the female over the sperm. These fertilized eggs, all 5,000 and plus of them, will attach under her tail with a glue-like substance, where they will stay for the next 10 to 11 months. During this time, she is called a berried lobster because the eggs look like small berries. After the incubation period, the eggs hatch. Baby lobsters don't look like their parents. Instead, they look like small larvae. They will molt many times before they start to show any resemblance to an adult lobster. Once the small lobsters have grown out of their first larval stages, they move to the ocean floor to find protection in seaweed and rocks. There, the juvenile lobsters will stay hidden until they are large enough to fight off predators.